In this week's interview, I have my friend and brother Javonte. We talk about high school, and he gives advice on how the next chapter of your life after high school is not meant to be decided within a split second. He talks about how he's figuring that out over the last couple of years, that it's okay to take time to figure out what you want in life. So, this is his Dandelion story. These episodes are intended for mature audiences. Viewer and listener discretion advised. All right. Welcome to another episode, guys. Today I have an old friend who I haven't talked to in years. And I don't know why. I think it's because, we both graduated high school and life just started happening. But it is really good to reconnect with my friend Javonte. And we're going to have a beautiful conversation about life as a military brat today. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on the podcast. Been looking forward to it, and it's good to reconnect with you as well.
Exactly. Same. That's my favorite part about doing this, is reconnecting with so many people.
Oh yeah, it's one big family reunion. Be it one person at a time, it's still good to reconnect with everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Same. So much. So, first question: if you're 18 and graduating from high school this year, what advice would you give yourself?
So, 18 years old, graduating from high school this year, I would say it seems like life is coming at you so fast because there's so many things that you have to plan for. And yes, stereotypically, the world expects you, on that 18th birthday, you need to know exactly what you're going to do for the rest of your life. That's unrealistic. It's good to have an idea of what you would like to do, but you need to, now that you've moved into that phase of your life where it's time to actually start making those necessary plans and taking those necessary actions to get there, you got to slow things down and take it one step at a time. Colleges are going to forever be here. I know jobs are changing every single year, but jobs are going to be there. The military is going to be there if you're taking the same route that I took. But the best advice I can give to 18-year-old 18-year-old kid or 18-year-old me: slow down, take things one step at a time. You don't have to make a decision right there, right then. Write things down, speak to friends, speak to family, maybe former classmates who are already in college, and just figure out the best course of action to get exactly what you need and make sure you do it in a smart manner so you're not making any mistakes and then you're paying for it in the back end.
So, give me the story of Javonte. Like, from the time you were born to the time you are now, how did you become who you are?
So I am a third generation service member. My grandfather served in the Marine Corps. My father served in the Army. I myself, am 10 years strong in the Army now. And the reason that I'm in the Army, going back to my father, when I was born, he was already in the Army. We were in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That's where I was born, Fayetteville, North Carolina. And from that point on, looking back at my childhood, it was all, GI Joes with the guns and planes and helicopters, everything military. Watch a movie, everything military. Saving Private Ryan, to this day, 2023, going into 2024, is still my favorite film of all time. I just loved everything about the military. Going through high school, we were talking about being 18 years old and life coming at you fast. Everyone was thinking about colleges, and I was thinking about colleges as well, but I still couldn't get that military, idea out of my head. So go through high school. I wish I paid more attention to high school, but that's in the past now. But I still ended up going to the military, and then from the military, anyone who's ever been in would know every year you start debating, well, do I want to stay in? Do I want to get out? Do I want to stay in? Do I want to get out? And for the past 10 years, I've had that debate. And obviously we see where I landed on the end of each contract. But I don't know. That's just coming from a military family. My mother wanted to join the military. Just coming from that mentality of everyone just being interested in the military in some way, shape, or fashion has shaped me into the individual that I am now. And
Mhm.
I still love it. Some days suck, some days are great, but at the end of the day, this is always what I wanted to do, and I'm happy I pursued this route and became a United States soldier. Um, really, no regrets. Um, the I think the only concern I have now about being in the military is now having a child. Now he is an Army brat, just like I was, and I'm having that internal battle now where when I have to leave, when I have to leave the state, when I have to leave the country, I'm thinking about him, how he's gonna take it, how he's gonna feel, he's gonna remember me when I come back. Which I've left a couple times already, and yes, he remembers me when I come back. But you never really know how a child's processing that. Hey, dad's gone for however long. Um, I know me and my father had this conversation. He was concerned that we had issues with it, but I understood. I understood. I was perfectly okay with it. I knew what he was doing, but my son is not me, so that's something that as he gets older, I have to sit down and explain. Sometimes I have to leave, but I'm always going to come back home. So don't ever worry.
Yeah. Okay, so you said when your dad was gone, you understood, but you said your son it's different because he's younger. So, in the way that you processed it, will that help him understand why you have to be gone because you can show him the different ways that you processed it for yourself?
Yeah, yeah. So we can definitely have that conversation as he gets older. But the advantage he has, as compared to you and myself, is technology has now progressed even further. We had smartphones and all that back then, but we just had Skype, I believe. I could be wrong, but it might have been Skype and some other stuff. But now I could FaceTime him on any device, his tablet, phone, computer, whatever we have. We can FaceTime him. Obviously, he's too young for it now, but technology continues to progress every single day, which has given us, my son and myself, more and more different ways to communicate with each other. So I may not physically be here, but we'll still be able to talk every day, depending on what I got going on. But that's not going to substitute his mindset when I am gone. So there's still the I'm talking to dad on FaceTime right now, but he's not here. When is he coming here? So that's something that like I said, I have to still sit down and explain to him. When my father was gone, we didn't talk every single day. We didn't have the capabilities to talk every single day, but I never worried. I trusted my dad that he would come back. I understood what he was doing because we sat down and we talked about his job, what his job entailed, um, a general timeline because nothing's for sure in the military, but you have a general timeline of when dad's leaving, mom or dad, right? When your parents leaving or when your parents coming back. So I still have to sit down and explain to him, what my job is, what I'm going to be doing, where I'm going to be, how I'm going to be there, when I'm coming back, and what life is going to be like in between all of that.
So, how did you adapt? Because your dad was gone. So, what ways did you adapt to make sure that you were still connected to your dad, but you still lived your life and you understood that he was working and that he wasn't doing it because he wanted to be away from you, but because he had his job?
The connection between me and him was established. He would say it every single time he left. Hey, Javonte, you're the man of the house now. I need you to step up and take care of your mom, take care of your sisters. So it's a little bit of a bonding moment right there. I'm 13, 14 years old. He leaves, I think it's Afghanistan at this time. I could be wrong, but I want to say Afghanistan. Now I'm the man of the house. Now, yeah, I'm still in the back of my head. I'm still worried about him. I'm nervous. Obviously, he's going to a combat zone, but now I got to step up and be the man of the house. Of course, mom's still queen of the house. She still rules everything that's going on, but whatever support and help that she needs, that is now my responsibility to make sure that she gets that help and gets that support that she needs. Um, and so you, when you're put in that position, you start thinking about things that you wouldn't normally think about. We would just normally, right, we'd go to school, stay after, hang out in the pizza bowl, GB, wherever it may be, and then come home, do your homework, maybe not do your homework in my case, but you just be a kid. That's all you should be expected to be, is be a kid. And that's what we did. When he left, now I got to come home. Now it's any house maintenance is on me, lawn maintenance, helping out with my sister, anything like that. I'm stepping up. And then when it came to understanding what he was doing, he was never shy to let us know what was going on at work or let us know who his coworkers were. I would talk to his coworkers. He'd play his Xbox and he'd have all his friends on the Xbox, and they would invite me and I'd be playing with them. So I know he's going over there. I know who he's going over there with. So, Dad's leaving, but hey, Dad's going with a bunch of his friends. I know who they are. They're cool with me. I'm cool with them. I'm okay. I can process that. I trust them. And then, like I said earlier, just coming from a military family and trusting in the United States military. Sounds cliche, but I had faith in the capabilities of the military, so I wasn't all that worried. And him bringing me into that world a little bit kind of helped ease any tension or any concern that there might have been.
The pressure that came with that, though, because that's a lot of pressure. How did you deal with that? Like being the man of the house, and even though you say you trust in the military, which as you should, because as military brats, it's kind of we have to have faith in the military with our parents, or we'll just be worried all the time, anxious all the time. But you always had it in the back of your mind that it's a possibility he couldn't come home, and now you're the man of the house officially. That pressure of what if, did that ever put you off in any type of way or scare you or give you anxiety or like depression in any type of way?
I'll be completely honest. So the depression, yes, I'll get into that in just a second. But the possibility of him never coming home, I'll be honest, I never had that thought. I never had that thought. I always believed, no matter what, that my dad was coming home. It never crossed my mind. I can't tell you why. I didn't think that he was invincible. I didn't think that he was Superman. But in my world, in my own little world, there was no possible way that man was not coming back home to be with his family. So I think that helped me process and deal with the stress. And of course, being the man of the house at 13 years old, you can only be but so much of a man. So I still had my chores. Sisters had their chores. Mom still helped with everything, and Dad helped out, as he could, being away. But you have to stay united as a family. You gotta, whatever the lack of a parent in the house due to the military, you have to fulfill that whole by bonding with the family that you still have in that house with you. So you all needed to grow stronger, tighten that relationship, and deal with that stress together. Nobody should be thinking about parent not coming home. It is a real possibility. I don't think that's something that you should have to worry about until, God forbid, something happens. then you deal with it then. But that's just unnecessary stress, in my opinion, to worry about, mom or dad not coming home because this or that happened. Because then when they do come home, then it was just really it's just unnecessary stress. Nothing happened to them. They came back. It is a realistic scenario, and unfortunately, people have to deal with it every single day. But if it hasn't happened, don't even just put it out of your head. Don't even think about it. And then as far as the depression, so I go to both of my parents for two different types of issues. So if I need to vent, of course, back then it was, you were one of the people I could vent to, but back home, it's, mom for these type of situations and dad for these type of situations. Well, dad's not here anymore. So it's mom for these type of situations, and then it's nobody for the other type of situations. So then you hold all that in, you bottle it up, and it starts getting to your head, and that little voice in the back of your head starts yapping away, and it starts to eat at you, and you might get to talk to dad every once in a while, but it's not long enough to get all that stress out. So once you're done talking to him, he has to go back to work. You still have some leftover stress that you weren't able to get out. And that was the issue I had. It was all, whether it be, homework or just wanting to hang out with them, play games with them, or just talk to them, whatever that may be. I'd only be able to get a little bit out at a time, and then he's gone again. Now I got to sit there and just be left with my own thoughts. And that was definitely damaging. But going back to your first question about, go back to AT or U, what advice you can give them is, hey man, write it down. Write it all down. Get it all out some way. Right? Write it down. And if you have mail, if you can send mail to the location your parent is, send everything in a letter. Send it all out. Don't bother with anything in. There are other ways. Just because you can't talk to someone doesn't mean you still can't vent. There are other ways to get it out. And no matter what it is, no matter how big, no matter how small you think it is, get it out. Get it out.
Do you think because when we were growing up, it was if your parents are going to war, whatever you have going on, you keep it to yourself because they have to focus on the mission. Do you feel in some way that had an impact on why you didn't tell your dad so much stuff, or why you didn't write him during that time, because you knew that he had a mission to focus on, and if he was focused on you back home, then his eye would be off the ball, or the simple fact that you are the man of the house, so you have to handle it. Like, growing up for us, being the man of the house was holding it in and just letting it be and just going on every day and taking care of your family. So you think a little bit of society and military norms had to do with why your depression grew in the way it did?
I think you got the nail right on the head on that one. Yeah, it is definitely, you're the man of the house. You got to deal with the stresses of being the man of the house. So something was bothering me. I hold it in, one, because he's not there, and two, because this is stuff that he deals with every day. He seems perfectly fine. So if he can do it, then I can do it. So I'm going to hold it all in, vent when I can, but I'm going to hold on in, and I'll just continue to act like I'm fine, because as the man of the house, I'm fine. I'm good. I don't got to worry about that. And then, I think the military definitely, let me backtrack a little bit. I don't want to, like you said, I don't want to bug him because he is deployed somewhere, and the last thing I feel that he needs to worry about is what I got going on in my head. I'm back in Belgium, back in shape. I should have no worries. He's in Iraq, Afghanistan, somewhere out in the Middle East, conducting whatever mission he has. The last thing I want him to worry about is whatever teenage stuff is going on in my head. And then the military does have that mentality where, I'll say, if you go to behavioral health, which is essentially just therapy within the military, people judge you. I know times are changing, and that might not be the case as much here in 2023. And I can't say for sure back when he was deployed because I was just a kid. I wasn't in the military. I can't speak on behalf of service members back then. But from the time I joined until now, it's definitely a thing. So I can only imagine it was a thing back then as well, too. So I'm not stressing him out. I'm not going to be the reason that he deviates from his mission. I'm not going to be the reason that his coworkers judge him because he's out there stressing out about me. And, I'm the reason all this bad stuff is happening. Now it's just additional stress to me. Now I'm stressing out at school. I'm stressing out because, that stuff going on at home. And then I'm stressing out because I feel like I'm stressing my dad out. So it just keeps building up. So I think, being the man of the house definitely contributed to a little bit of depression, but by no means was it his fault. It's just I didn't know how to process that, and I didn't know exactly what it meant being the man of the house. Wasn't even a man yet, but that it goes back to my son Ilya. I explained that to him. Hey, you're the man of the house, but it doesn't mean you have to shoulder all this responsibility. It just means, hey, if family needs you, you step up and do what you can. Do what you can. And just support everyone back here while I'm out.
Have you been able to talk about your time in high school and him telling you to be a man when you're in middle school and things like that? Have you guys had that conversation and kind of like had a healing process? Because I know like no, it wasn't like something vicious or any type of way, but when it comes to like that generational trauma, it can be helpful to heal from that so it can help you and your son's relationship. So have you guys had that type of conversation to say like, I was the man of the house, but there were times where I wanted to tell you things and I just couldn't. And I want to sit here and have these conversations so that we can have a better relationship, but also so I can have a better relationship with my son.
We did. We had a conversation actually not that long ago. I believe it was this year we had a conversation like that. And it wasn't about me holding things in and not telling him things because I didn't want to stress him out. I still have that issue now where I don't tell him things, but not because I don't want to stress him out. It's because at my age now, I want to be able to handle it on my own and process it on my own. And then when I do go to him, be like, hey, this is the issue I had, and this is how I fixed it. I'm good now. I don't want you to worry about it. We're good to go. The conversation that my father and I had was more so he was a bit concerned that us being military brats, constantly moving every couple years, or our friends moving every couple years, that stressed us out. That might have depressed us because we couldn't hold on to a friendship longer than a couple years. And all we had back then was MySpace until Facebook started to become a thing. So as quickly as you made friends, that's about as quickly as you would lose them. And he brought that up to me and said that he thought that we were upset by it and we weren't happy and he felt bad about it. And I told him straight up, Dad, my childhood, I'd go back and do it all over again. I wouldn't change a thing. I loved it. I did make a lot of friends. I did lose contact with a lot of friends. Some friends I have on social media, I don't talk to them, but I still consider them my friends. Meet people from all over the world. It's made me a better person. I don't need to be friends with you for 30 something years and to appreciate the friendship that we have. Every single person that I've met has taught me something, and then everyone from a different that we're friends with that come from a different country has also taught me something, about their background or where they come from, religion, traditions, things like that. So yes, it was stressful, but I wasn't upset by it by any means. I enjoyed it. I think it made me a better person now. Now, friends of all different colors, backgrounds. Now I'm going into my 30s now, and I'll talk to anybody. I don't care where you come from, what you look like. If you're cool with me, I'm cool with you. I'll befriend anybody. Um, so it was more so that conversation was less about me being depressed and and stressed out about my childhood, and more so, hey, I want you, Dad, to know that you gave me the best childhood. Um, Being a teenager comes with its share of depression and mental health issues, but that's going to happen whether you're a military brat or not. Um, but in my case, um, I loved it. I loved it. I'd do it all over again. I talk about it all the time. I love shape. I love shape, and I know it's completely different now, but no regrets back then. No regrets.
Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick break to ask if you are enjoying this episode. Go ahead and follow us on Stories of a Dandelion right here on Spotify or wherever you're getting your podcast, as well as follow us on all of our social media accounts. Let's create this community full of military brats who feel that they're okay with opening up about their mental health, about sharing their journey, what they're going through, and create a place for beautiful healing through stories. So, again, please go ahead and follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, as well as all of the social media accounts. Now, let's get back to today's episode. Yeah, I tell my mom all the time too. I would do my over again, even warts and all, whatever it may be. Um, but for me, dealing with depression, I didn't know how to. So I'm going to ask you this question: how did you deal with your depression? And did you really know it was depression when you were going through it? Because for me, at high school, I didn't know it was depression. I just thought, oh, I'm sad for a little while, and then it goes away, and then it's like, all right, go back to everyday life.
I didn't know. I had no idea. I knew like I have mood swings, and my family can vouch for this. I still have mood swings today. Um, but like just like you said, I'm sad today. I'll be okay tomorrow. Sad the next day. I'll be okay tomorrow. Didn't know what it was, so not knowing what it was, you don't know how to process it. You don't know how to talk about it. You don't even know where to start to understand what's going on. Um, and I didn't. I don't think I handled it all that well, um, because I mean, once I joined the military, it only got worse. It only got worse. And it wasn't until these past 2, 3 years where I started to accept, like, hey, you might have depression. I might still struggle to just say, yeah, yes, 100%, you have depression. Um, but whether I want to admit it or not, I still go through the steps to make sure I take care of it, that I take care of myself and I handle it. So back then, it was going back to the whole dad thing, bottling up, not telling anybody, and just letting it fester in my head. That's exactly what I did. Not the healthiest way. I still see like Facebook posts from back then that I made that I just look at and I like cringe a little bit. But it was the depression talking. It wasn't me talking. Um, and I don't know. Definitely looking back at it now, I was going through a rough patch. Couldn't tell you where it started. Couldn't tell you where it ended. But what I wish I could tell you is how I handled it. How I handled it in a healthy way. Again, just being ignorant to it all. You don't even know where to start. Don't even know where to start. Yeah. Definitely. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that Facebook did for us was when we first started using it, we would say everything. Like whatever we were feeling in the moment, we would just blurt it out on Facebook. But I think what it did for us was see that we're not alone because other people would like it and like comment. And so it kind of, in a way, gave you that, oh, I'm not the only one going through this thing. Somebody else is going through it the same way I am. And unfortunately, now social media isn't what it was when it first started, which was to express yourself. Now it's, oh, this is the greatest day of my life, and let me do a highlight reel of everything in my life instead of sharing what we used to share on Facebook, which was, today I feel like crap. And today was the worst that could ever be. And, our friends commenting and be like, hey, what's up? Message me, let's talk about it. And I hope social media gets back to that because I feel like that saved a lot of us in the times of when we were in the darkest place. But what do you do now to combat depression? Because, you said back then you didn't know what it was. You didn't have the knowledge, but now you have the knowledge. And now you're, I guess, in like the 5 stages of, you went through everything, saying, denying it, bargaining, the possibility of doing something and that will fix your whole situation. But now you're in like, okay, I do have depression. Now, how do I attack it? So how do you attack it?
So a method that's worked for me, and I'm gonna steal something from you had Kirsten on the your podcast, and she mentioned social media, like couples, right? They only post the good things in their relationship, but you don't ever see the bad. You don't ever see the arguments. You don't see the disagreements or anything like that. And that was like the best example of why people struggle so much today. So using her example, what I do if I find myself in a stressful situation and I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, of course this happens to me. Like, oh, this always happens to me. I'm not surprised. You start to just with the word, I can't think of the word right now, but you pretty much just attack yourself. So I do that. I don't even realize I'm doing it. The little voice in my back of my head is talking like, you're this, you're trash, you're always blah, 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 blah. Let that voice get everything out. And then I'll pause. I'll stop everything I'm doing. I'm like, all right, okay. I've been in bad situations before. I've been in stressful situations before. And I'm still here. Nothing happened. Right. So, all right. So it's not going to get any worse than how I feel right now. All right, cool. So then I start thinking about what I need to do to get myself out of the situation or fix the situation. So an example I can give is I missed an insurance payment. It was auto payment, missed the payment, didn't know about it. And my registration was suspended on my car. Got pulled over going to work, car got towed. And I'm sitting there on the side of the road like, oh, of course, this has happened to me. Now I got to call out of work and I got to pay all this money to get the car to the tow yard and blah, 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 blah. Just sitting there, just degrading myself. And the officer drove me back to the house and I got in the house and I was like, all right, okay. Now let's use logic here. I have time at work. I can take a day off of work. Work's good. I'm still getting paid for it. I looked up the lot where my car was towed. It's walking distance to my house. Boom. All right. I know where my car's at. I can literally walk and go grab it. Got to fix the insurance issue. Called my insurance company. I asked them what happened. They said a bunch of stuff, but I got that fixed. So now I have insurance. I know where my car's at. And then there's the registration. The registration was suspended. All right, now I got to go to the DMV, but I don't have a car. How am I supposed to do this? Well, I look online. You can pay the fee to have the suspension lifted on your phone. So I just paid on my phone. The problem was solved within an hour. Had my car back that within 2 hours of me getting pulled over, had my car back. Drove to the DMV and just got some paperwork that said that I was good to drive. Didn't have to pay a thing. So I had to pay the $100 restoration fee, but So I took myself out of that situation, took myself out of that, oh, you suck or you're trash. Of course, this has happened to you. And then you start adding logic to it. And you're like, oh, you know what? This is really not that bad. I have everything I need to fix the situation. So why am I stressing myself out? It's a bad situation. It sucks. I wish it didn't happen, but it happened. It's in the past. Can't change it now. But what I can change is the outcome because I'm still in the middle of the situation. Nothing's solidified yet. So I'm sitting here thinking the worst. Like I'm about to have the worst. This is a Friday too, right? About to have the worst Friday, the worst weekend ever. By lunchtime on Friday, I'm sitting on my couch just chilling. Had my car in the parking lot. Everything was taken care of. So, I said that whole spiel just to say that it could be the smallest situation for me, and I'll sit there and think the absolute worst. But then when I stop, take a breath, and analyze the situation, I come to realize it's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. I can get through this with minimal effort. So every time I get in a situation, I'll let myself sit there and trash talk myself. I'll, do that for a couple minutes, but once that's all said and done, now I got to stop and get realistic for a second and think, hey, what's the actual issue here? What really is so bad? And 9 times out of 10, it's really nothing. It's just an inconvenience. Like there's nothing bad in my life right now that I need to be calling myself trash. And of course, this will happen to you. And man, it happens to every single person out there. It's just no one's going to go around like talking about it because they're not happy about it. But like you said earlier, you're not alone. You're not. Everyone goes through it. So just remember that. Like it's an inconvenience, but it's not the end.
Yeah, we can allow things to up. And like you could have sat there and been like, oh, whatever, has gone, can't work. Here we are. And then you could have spent the whole weekend and then had to take Monday off because figured out after a couple of days of wallowing that, you could have gotten your car in 2 hours.
Yeah.
If and just, been like, these are emotions, but they're not going to control me. And I think as teenagers, we don't know how to do that. And then then 10 years later, it's like, oh, okay, there you go. But I wish somebody would have told me that graduating, like your feelings don't always have to control you.
Yes.
I think we're always told like you'll learn when you're an adult. But it's like, why can't you teach me a little bit now so I can have a step up as I go? I think that was definitely missing. Those tools that we needed in high school were definitely missing because like we all went out and was like, all right, here's the world. And we're all basically blinders, like and like literally pulling our fingers back one at a time to be like, oh, there's the light to like different situations. And it sucks that we sometimes, I mean, I get it, what we went through made us who we are now, but the fact that we didn't have to go through all that to get to the person that we are now. And I think back then it was, you have to go through all that, but that's not true. Like you don't have to go through all that to become the person that you're meant to be. You can have the tools to be the person you're meant to be and possibly be that person sooner instead of all that crap in your early 20s and becoming that person later.
Yeah. It's a rough road. It's 100% a rough road. But just having stuff like this podcast is a good example, just to see that, like you just said, we were all just, hey, go out. The world's a beautiful place. Here's the high school education that you got, but that's only like 1% of what you're going to learn in the world. There you go. Have fun. Good luck. We got these kids. We got exactly. But it's just such a good feeling knowing, we're not the only ones that went through this. I'm not the only one that went through this, and man, when that train hit you, that reality train hit you, looking down the track, it wasn't just me; it was me and the other Spartans that were just waiting for it. But it's good to see that even though we learned the way that we did, you see so many people successful now and eventually get it figured out. And some of us still dealing with it, but we have methods to get us through any struggle that we might have. And, that helps me keep going. I see a new podcast and I'm watching it, and like Kirsten Bailey, just they're all struggling too, and different aspects of their life. But it's like, all right, okay, all right, so I'm not alone here. So I'm going to go ahead and get dressed and go to work and go struggle like everybody else. Exactly. At the end of the day, I made it this far, so why stop now?
Yeah, life was never promised not to be a struggle. I think when we graduate from high school, that is like the magical thing that we all believe, that life is not going to be this huge struggle. Like, it's going to be a lot like high school and like up to you real quick. Like, no, life is a struggle. So when you graduated, you went directly into the military, correct?
Yeah, I was I graduated and then about 4 or 5 months later, I was off to basic training. It was that quick.
So what did you learn? How did going into the military, like, what did you learn from being in the military and going into it, like, help you with who you are now and with your mental health now? Because I know a lot of the disciplines that the military has can be translated into life and, your well-being and stuff. So how does it help you on your day-to-day basis?
Well, I could say when I joined, I wasn't nearly as disciplined as I thought I was. I wasn't a saint in high school. I wasn't a troublemaker either, but I wasn't a saint. But then I got to basic training and then it's like just the smallest things, like you got to make your bed a certain way. The edges got to be, I can't even remember the terminology. It was like triangle corners. Those of you in the military know what I'm talking about. Triangle corners. The smallest things they were looking for. And if you didn't have it the way they wanted it, everyone's doing push-ups. Everyone's doing push-ups. So you think coming from a military family, coming from a Department of Defense education system, you would have a little bit more discipline than just your average American student. But no, I was right there with the rest of everybody else. Just no discipline whatsoever, getting in trouble for the same stuff every single day. All right, so 4 months in basic training, I got the discipline down for the most part. Right, just nowhere near perfect, but enough to actually function in the Army. And then transitioning to the civilian world. So I was active duty, but during your free time, you in terms of discipline, you kind of see things a little bit more. You see a little differently, right? So, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like in basic training, right? I'll use our meals as an example. So, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You have 10 minutes to eat. The time the first soldier walks in, the timer starts. So you get in there, you get what you need, you sit down, you eat, you clean everything up. And so when you move from your table where you're sitting at, it's clean. So that's not, you don't want to give your drill sergeant something to yacht you about, like a dirty table. Mm-hmm. So then you realize when you get to the civilian world and you go out to eat somewhere, you're eating with your family or whatever. First of all, you eat way too quick. You're not in basic training anymore, but your brain hasn't processed that. And then when you're done eating, it's like your section where you ate, that's just immaculate. It's just clean. And that's that discipline that you bring from the military to your civilian world. And then as you move up in the ranks, then it's setting a good example, leading by example. It's learning to deal with other people's issues they may bring to you, learning how to efficiently and effectively deal with their issues while also not making it worse. Um, and then you can take those skills and apply it to family and friends. So um, it's made me more of a man. It's made me a better man. I've learned about active listening. I've learned about um, I feel like I've said the word terminology too many times during this podcast, but you learn how to use different words and um, you learn how to say things in a more knowledgeable way, so it doesn't sound like teenage me is talking to. For example, okay, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm sorry, but as I am now, I'm 30 years old. I have a 20-year-old soldier, so I'm not gonna talk to the soldier like like how 20-year-olds talk to each other these days, because a lot of the words that they use, to be honest, I don't know what they mean. By no means am I old, but I'm like, I don't know what half this stuff means. So I'm going to meet her in the middle. I'm going to talk to her like a 25-year-old would talk to her. So I might use a word or two that I have a general idea of what the slang definition is, but then I'm also going to talk to her like the adult that she needs to be. Um, so you just gotta that discipline is just learning your audience, understanding your audience, and reading the room, and who responds to what, how they respond to it, and what plan of action you think would be best for them. It's going to be different for everybody. You and I grew up together, so I could talk to you a certain way. This soldier doesn't know me any better than she knows anybody else in the unit, so I can't talk to her like that. So um, you just become an effective leader and use effective communication. Um, I hope that answers your question. I know it was a little rambling there. But.
You're good. No, yeah. The disciplines that you've learned have taught you how to be, like you said, effective communicator, but also just realize that not everybody is where you are. So sometimes you'll have to come at them differently. And I think in high school we understood that just because we had like different cultures around us, but we never knew exactly how to do it. So it sounds like the military has taught you how to use what you had in high school and now translate it into your everyday work to be, like you said, a better man, a better leader, a better father in all these different areas of your life. So that's good.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. Is, just growing up in an American school, but international students, everyone responds differently. So we join the military, everyone's from a different state, they're going to respond differently. So just read the room, know your audience.
Exactly. So how's fatherhood, man? We got to end on that one. How is fatherhood? How's that changed you?
Fatherhood has been the toughest job I've ever had. Talk about know your audience, and you know, I've met all kinds of people, right, in shape. I've met all kinds of people in the military, but no one has tested me more than this little 1-year-old saint of a child. It's great. It's great. I've always wanted to be a father. I love it. Um, you you know, before I became a dad, I'm always thinking about, when I have a kid, I'm gonna do this. When I have a kid, I'm gonna do that. I can't wait for this. I can't wait. I'm always want to be around my kid. And just this morning, he got out with his mom, and they came into the living room. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit with daddy no longer. I'm not ready to go deal with him just yet. And then, sure enough, 10 minutes later, he comes running in the room. Um, toughest job I ever had, best job I ever had. I wouldn't trade it for the world. it's devastating. That's also made me a better person. Taught me patience. Taught me about myself. Taught me about you know, I guess right and wrong when it comes to raising a child. Everyone has their different ideas of what's right and what's wrong. It's taught you about making sacrifices and trying, especially with mom, right? Finding a middle ground. And that's something that I know for sure that I have to work on is making sacrifices or finding a middle ground. Um, but again, in this aspect of my life, being a father, no regrets, no regrets at all. It always, I had someone on Thanksgiving say, like my son was sitting in my lap, we were just playing, and they were like, he looks just like you. He looks just like you. And like, it's good to hear because like, oh man, like kind of warms your heart a little bit. Like this is my mini me. This is my, my heart and soul right here. And, when it's his time to go to high school and learning things that we talked about during this podcast, I want to make sure that, hey, you're not going to be, that analogy we used earlier, right? You're sitting in that train and the reality of life comes to hit you. Like, hey, man, I'm going to be right there in the train tracks with you. It's, no matter how old you get, there's always going to be a new phase of life that you're not going to be ready for. Whether you had the guidance and counseling or not everyone knows everything. So I'm going to definitely make sure that he's ready, especially being an Army brat. So he's going to go through the same struggles we went through. Maybe not so much with the moving all the time, at least not yet. It's still going to be a challenge for him, but I got his back. 365, 7 days a week.
Yeah. I mean, you were kind of like the big brother / dad of our group anyway, so I feel like you were probably prepared to be. You were like we would always find you, me and Lonnie. You'd be like, Javonte, and you'd be like, "What's wrong?" So it wasn't like we didn't prepare you to become a father.
No, yeah. Oh man, I told Lonnie the other day. It was like you and Gino were like the biggest part, one of the biggest parts of my childhood, and man, I miss those times hanging out with y'all. But maybe Big Brother. I don't know if I could say, had any, fatherly role. Maybe you prepared me to be a better older brother to my sisters. But yeah, you guys definitely set me on the right path. Always there for me, and just I don't know. I guess you guys were always there for me. So
same with you. Like you were always there for us. It only made sense for us to be there for you.
Yeah, definitely one of those friendships that like one in a lifetime. So
definitely. Us three were weird, crazy. I don't even know how to describe us, but like we just always had fun, and that's all that mattered. And just being there for each other through like hard times and tough times. It was exactly what we needed at the time we needed.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. I mean, just every day you go to school, it's not one person, it's two people that are going to be just so happy to see it. And when you're not at school, if you're sick or something, like I know I did it with, if you or Lonnie were at school, it's like, what made y'all think you got the right to not show up? Like, what y'all got going on? So it was, that was great. I haven't had any friendships like that since, I left, and then eventually Lonnie left, and then you left last, right? I think you stayed a little.
No, me and Lonnie usually graduated at the same time. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, well, since then, since we all left, we haven't really had any friendships like that. So even though we've kind of drifted apart, we've gone our separate ways. I know we can rekindle the friendship. Lonnie's actually preparing the gift for Ilya, and then you and I are reminiscing now. So I know it's a good friendship where you can go years without talking, and then just pick up a conversation just like that. No.
Exactly.
Yeah, couldn't tell you how much I appreciate having y'all.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on here, sharing your story, and willing to allow people to learn from you. Because that is what this podcast is intended to do. And I've learned from you and everybody else who's been on. And every time it's just awesome and amazing. So the fact that you came on, again, I appreciate you and I thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm on to my last question right now.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years, my friend?
That's the golden question, right? 5 years. 5 years. So I have a goal. So right now I'm a staff sergeant in the Army, and my goal is to make sergeant first class, which is a senior. I'm sure you probably know that you're a military brat, but it's a senior leadership position, and I want to. I did 7 years active. These past 3 years have been reserve. I want to go back to, it's called active guard reserve. So it's like active duty status, but I'd be in a reserve unit. So that's why I talk about, my son won't have to deal with the moving as much as we all did. He won't, that'll be because I'm AGR. So I won't be moving nearly as much as active duty soldier will. So I do sergeant first class, active guard reserve, and just finish out my time with the Army. I got 10 more years to go before I can retire. And 5 years, maybe child number 2 somewhere in there, maybe. I don't know if I'm ready for it. Child number 1's already kicking my behind. And then for the actually no, there won't be any civilian job because I'll be doing that full time. So 5 years, I'm saying it now. I'm speaking into existence. That's my plan. I'm already taking the necessary steps to get there and get myself back into shape, and then just do my best. Do what I can. Hope for the best.
Wow. Well, this has been amazing, dude.
I loved it. I know I was rambling. I apologize. I do that a lot, working on it, but I hope my point got across.
It did. No problem. Any rambling you did, I'll cut it out and then go directly to like your point. So you're good.
The whole interview is just going to be just you, just staring at the screen.
No, but seriously, honestly, so much fun. Stay in contact. Message me anytime. Always here to listen. Always here to laugh with you. Can't believe you have a 2-year-old. You're married. You have like, it's so weird. It's like 10 years for me.
Yeah.
And for you, I guess. Yeah.
It's surreal. Yeah. We all growing up way too fast. He's growing up too fast. I'm growing up too fast. I'm still stuck on the fact that I'm 30 years old. I haven't, embraced that yet. And then there's the 2-year-old, or he will be 2 in a few months. But man, it's crazy. It seems like Shape was just yesterday, right?
I know. You seem like you're taking our senior pictures and all that, and now you're like,
oh, man.
Where's oh.
What world we living in?
I know, feeling old. You're going, start feeling old and stuff, and you're cracking.
My back will be cracking as soon as I stand up.
For real, like no joke. My knees be cracking, like my shoulders hurt. I work out, my whole body hurts, and I'm just like, take me back to the times where I could like work out really hard and feel absolutely nothing.
Times are long gone.
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in for another episode on the Stories of the Dandelion podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please go and share it with a friend, a colleague, or even a family member. And make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms so you can stay up to date on when the episodes are coming out and what is involved in each episode. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you all next Military Brat Monday.